Welcome to my channel, Veterans Legacy. Let's take a deep breath together before we begin, because what you're about to hear isn't just a story. It's a reminder of who we choose to be when no one is watching, of the promises we make as a nation, and of the way a single act of honor can echo across a lifetime. The morning sun dropped long, sleepy rays across the parking lot of a run-down gas station on the outskirts of Mendez County. It was the kind of place people only stopped at when they were tired, lost, or too far from anywhere else. The air smelled faintly of gasoline, dust, and old coffee that had been left burning on the hot plate for far too many hours. At pump number 3, an elderly man sat beside his truck, a boxy, faded blue Chevy from another era. The driver's side door hung open, and a crutch lay awkwardly on the ground, where it had fallen from his hand. His fingers trembled as he tried to reach it. His knee simply wouldn't bend the way it used to. Shrapnel did that. His name was Walter Briggs, 76 years old, retired Marine Corps sergeant, Purple Heart recipient, and a man who once carried more weight on his shoulders than most people carry in a lifetime. But that morning, with the world moving too fast and his body moving too slow, he just looked like someone's grandfather, alone and struggling. He had stopped for fuel and a cup of coffee on his way to visit his late wife's grave. Every year, on their anniversary, he made the same trip. He never missed it, combat injury or not, weather or not, loneliness or not. Promises mattered to him, always had. It should have been a quiet morning. But then the sound came, loud, mechanical, like thunder made of steel. Motorcycles. At least a dozen. The rumble grew louder until a group of bikers rolled into the gas station, chrome gleaming under the sun, engines roaring. Their jackets were patched with skulls, flames, broken chains. The kind of sight that made people press the lock button on their car doors without thinking twice. Walter didn't look up at first. He'd seen worse things than bikers. Much worse. But as the men climbed off their bikes, laughter loud and sharp, one of them nudged Walter's fallen crutch with his boot, kicking it a few inches farther away. "Hey old man," the biker smirked. "This yours?" Walter swallowed, face tightening. "I'd appreciate you handing it over." "He'd appreciate it," another biker mocked, exaggerating the words with a sneer. The others laughed. Walter tried to stand without the crutch, gripping the door to hoist himself upright, but his leg shook violently. He exhaled sharply as his muscles failed him again. One biker whistled. "Look at that. Marine, Army. What kind of soldier can't even stand up straight?" Walter clenched his jaw. The world tilted slightly as pain shot through his hip. "Marine," he said quietly. 40 years ago. "Oh, a Marine." The sarcasm dripped like oil on water. Another biker leaned in, tattooed knuckles tapping Walter's truck. "Where'd your courage go, devil dog?" Walter stared at him. Not with fear, but with the tired patience of a man who had endured much worse than cruelty from strangers. "Does your mother know you talk to people like this?" For a moment the biker's smile faded. Then the biggest one, broad as a refrigerator, beard down to his chest, stepped forward. "You wanna repeat that?" Walter didn't flinch. "You heard me." A tense silence fell. For a few long seconds, no one breathed. The big biker reached down, grabbed Walter's crutch, and held it high like a trophy. "Maybe we teach you some respect." Walter lifted his chin. "If you were capable of teaching respect, son, you'd know what it looks like." The biker's eyes narrowed, and that's when it happened. A small voice, shaking, but brave, cut through the tension. "Leave him alone." Everyone turned. A teenage girl stood near the gas station entrance, holding her phone. She had been recording. Her voice wavered, but she didn't back down. "He fought for this country. Show some respect." One biker barked a laugh. "Or what, little reporter? You gonna post about it?" "I already did," she said. "Livestream." The bikers froze. The girl pointed to her screen. "There's 200 people watching, and it just keeps going up." Walter blinked in surprise. He hadn't even noticed her. The bikers exchanged uneasy glances. Some shifted on their feet. The big one cursed under his breath. But before anyone could react, from the phone's speaker, a deep voice shouted, "Where are you?" Another voice followed. "Don't move. We're on our way." The girl looked at Walter. "They're coming for you." "Who's coming?" One biker snapped. She swallowed hard. "His family." Walter frowned. I don't have. And then he stopped. Because he remembered. He remembered the annual tradition he never spoke about. He remembered the small online group he had joined years ago, men and women who served, or whose families served, or whose hearts simply cared. They called themselves Veterans Legacy Watch, a loose network of veterans, reservists, and even a few active duty folks who followed live streams of elderly veterans visiting memorials, cemeteries, or VA clinics, just in case someone needed help. Walter didn't think anyone really watched. He didn't ask them to. He never wanted special treatment. But apparently, they watched. And apparently, help was on the way. The roar of engines in the distance grew louder. Much louder. The bikers turned their heads, shoulders tensing. Over the hill, a line of vehicles appeared, military-style trucks, SUVs, and 3 motorcycles moving with synchronized precision. They weren't wearing colors. They weren't wearing patches. They weren't wearing smiles, either. They came in fast, and they came in heavy. As the vehicles screeched to a halt, the doors swung open. Out stepped 8 men in tan tactical pants and dark shirts bearing a simple, unmistakable insignia. An eagle, anchor, and trident. The bikers, faces drained of color. Whispers tore through the air like paper. Navy SEALs. They moved with a calm intensity that made the whole world seem to hold its breath. Not aggressive, not even angry, just ready. One of them, tall, clean-cut, with the faintest trace of gray at his temples, walked up to Walter first. "Sir," he said with genuine respect, "we saw the livestream. Are you all right?" Walter blinked, overwhelmed. "You boys came all this way for me. We don't leave our own behind," the SEAL said simply, placing a firm hand on his shoulder. Then he turned, and his entire demeanor changed. He faced the bikers with the unblinking calm of a man who had walked into darkness many times and never feared what waited inside. "Which one of you kicked this Marine's crutch?" No one answered. The silence was suffocating. Then the big biker lifted his chin. "We were just messing around." The SEAL stepped close. Very close. "If you ever lay a hand on a disabled veteran again, you won't have to worry about messing around. You'll worry about staying conscious." Another SEAL picked up Walter's crutch, dusted it off like it was made of gold, and handed it gently to him. "Semper Fi, Sergeant Briggs." Walter felt tears sting his eyes. He hadn't heard those words spoken to him with such reverence in decades. The SEALs formed a protective circle around him. The teenage girl approached too, still shaking. "I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't know who else to call." Walter gave her a gentle smile. "You did just fine, sweetheart." The big biker tried to say something, some half-formed apology or excuse, but one SEAL raised a hand. "Leave," he ordered, and they did. Helmets on, engines roaring, backs turned, no swagger left. They left the parking lot as quickly as they had entered it. When the dust settled, the SEALs helped Walter into his truck. One of them filled his tank. Another retrieved his fallen hat. Another placed a small challenge coin in Walter's hand, a symbol of brotherhood. "You're not alone," the lead SEAL said softly. "Not now, not ever." Walter looked down at the coin. The weight of it, small, cool, metallic, felt heavier than years of silence. He wiped his eyes and nodded. "Thank you, boys, truly. Thank the kid," one SEAL said, gesturing toward the girl. "She's the real hero here." Walter smiled at her again. "Seems valor comes in all sizes." She beamed, wiping away a tear. The SEALs stayed until Walter was safely driving away. They watched his truck roll down the highway, the late morning sun glinting off the windshield. Only then did they disperse. That afternoon, Walter visited his wife's grave like he did every year. But this time, he wasn't alone. 2 SEALs stood respectfully at a distance. They didn't speak. They didn't interrupt. They simply stood guard, making sure that an old Marine could keep his promise in peace. Walter knelt, slowly, painfully, and whispered to the woman he loved. "You'd laugh if you saw what happened today. You'd tell me I'm too stubborn to admit I need help." A soft breeze brushed his cheek. He closed his eyes. For the first time in years, he didn't feel the weight of loneliness pressing down on him. He felt something else: honor, brotherhood, legacy. By evening, the livestream had gone viral, millions of views. But Walter didn't know that. He didn't need to. All he knew was that for the first time in a long time, the world had reminded him that people still cared. That kindness still existed. That courage could come from a teenage girl with a trembling voice. That loyalty could come roaring in on tires and boots and silence filled with purpose. That no matter how old you get, you never stop being part of the family. If you felt something today, if this story touched your heart, then help us keep these legacies alive. Like, comment, and subscribe, because the world forgets too easily. But here, on this channel, we never forget our veterans.